Welcome to SlamCast, where we chat with creatives about their process and how they navigate the grind of promoting themselves. We're your hosts. I'm Bria.
And I'm Neil. We're both producers and studio technicians here at Slam Academy, in-person and online music production school based out of Northeast Minneapolis.
And today we are here with Nur-D, a Twin Cities hip-hop artist who has been on the scene since 2018. He's gone from open mics to stadium performances with a mix of pop culture, geek-chic, and powerful emotional honesty. Welcome, Nur-D.
Wow, look at this. One try, first take.
It was the first take, actually.
I had never heard it so flawless in my life.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that.
Oh
Thank you for
goodness.
staying with the first take with us.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, they nailed it. I was going to have them do it 2 more times.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Nothing
thank
but
you, we didn't have to.
professionalism here at
That's how we
SlamCast.
do it.
Yeah. So thanks for being here with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Appreciate you for coming through. Do you want us to call you Nur-D or Matt?
Well, I mean, like, it's kind of like the Avengers, Infinity War situation where I'm like, are we using our made-up names? Because if so, then you can call me Nur-D if you want. If we're not using our made-up names, Matt is perfectly fine.
Do you feel like a certain boost of like a superpower when people call you Nur-D?
I think it is a timestamp of when you know me or when you've known me from,
Sure.
whatever someone's first thought process is.
Uh-huh.
Because I have people who would never call me Nur-D because they're like, I've known you for too long. But then I have some people who like don't feel comfortable calling me by my name.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Nur-D, oh no, I don't want to like get in your way. And I'm like, okay, cool. So you knew me from 2018 on.
Yeah.
And then anybody from before that's like, Matt is fine.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, they'll call me Matt. They better probably just call me a word that I'm not going to use because we're not swearing in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, we're well within, so you're good.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Ooh, we're starting off with the soft ones.
We'll tease them. I always thought that was interesting asking. I've never even thought to ask it, but I thought it was interesting how people interact with their artist name and like how, even especially with like circles like this when we're just talking. Because like some people, when they give their artist name, like my buddy Bionic, he'll just start with that if he's in like in a creative space. Like this, so.
And it's like I get it. I when you're on something like this, that's going to be a broadcast and it's branding. You know, you're like, okay, hey, this is my name. This is my artist name, just so the algorithm catches it. Because if you say Nur-D enough times around like a computer, like people, it'll be like, oh, they want to see more of that. So like I'll take either or.
Okay.
Sweet.
Good to know.
That's good to know.
And I see that you got a nice little branding sweatshirt
This is
on. I love that.
a fan made this for me.
Oh, really?
That's fantastic.
No, it's
That's
fantastic.
so
It's
cool.
amazing. Like my fans are the coolest. So like I was like, oh, and they got my size right. Your boy's a big boy, and I'm like, oh, I'll wear it.
It looks comfy.
Yeah.
It is.
Love
It
that.
feels comfy. It's very lovely. Thank you again.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to start by going back to baby Matt, baby Nur-D, before Nur-D was
Chime noise.
Nur-D.
Yeah.
How did it all begin?
Wow. How did it all begin? Well, when two people love each other very much.
Yay!
Or don't, as the case may be, but have real great chemistry in other ways. I'll skip ahead a little. So I was doing rock and roll actually for quite some time. I was in a different genre than hip hop, and the band I was in had multiple names. One of whom was Saving Vinyl City, which I think was the best name. But we also were called Black Genesis, and for years I was in this band, just failing spectacularly. We weren't bad. It's not like the music was bad or anything. It just we didn't have the heart for the business, for the drive. We were in that age of life. We're in college. We just get out of high school. We're in college.
Yeah.
People are starting to figure out what else they're gonna do, and the few of us that had like we're gonna make it and do that dies out as you get older. and I was like, so I was desperate to try and figure out how to get our name out there before that candle went out, with the rest of my bandmates. And back in 2018, there was this open mic competition. It was called Shut Up and Rap. It was put on by 95.3 Go 95. Now, granted, it doesn't exist anymore, but the radio station did exist at the time, and it was an open mic contest. And so I submitted a rap that I had wrote. Now, I used to rap with my brother and his friends after school, like in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Just for fun, like just because it was some dude, black kids get together, we're just rapping. And I needed a name because everybody else had a cool hip hop name, and I chose Nur-D mostly just because when I was growing up, people would call me like I was a nerdy kid, like you know what I mean. I try to take a positive or negative and flip it into a positive. So I submitted this thing to the radio station with the assumption that if I got picked, which I wouldn't, because why would anybody pick what I'm doing? Like, if I got picked, then I could be like, oh, hey, I'm in this band. We don't even do hip hop. I wanted everybody to know we're this band and I can just be around. Mm-hmm. But so I got picked. I didn't tell anybody I was going to be there because I'd never rapped in front of anybody before. And I brought my brother. So like I could like have someone there that I knew. And I got on stage and I performed my song. I don't know, something clicked. Something about it clicked. I think there was like a freedom in it that I wasn't finding in the pop rock genre of the, late 20, the early 2020s or whatever we're calling the decades now. Mm-hmm. And
were you a singer for that band?
Yeah, and played piano.
Piano and singer.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was just there's something about the genres that are different, and they just are different. I can tell you that as someone who has been in the pop rock space as like a fat black kid in Minnesota, they weren't like, oh, that's the vibe. That's what we're looking for. It was all Jonas-y Brothers at the time. You know what I mean? Sure. And if you weren't that, you probably weren't getting picked. And so, but in hip hop, it's like, it's a black art form that's kind of like they're already sort of assuming that this is something that you're going to do. So you get treated differently. And there's just more freedom. There was more freedom. I didn't have like an expectation of a certain type of style or whatever. I just kind of came in and did my own thing. And I didn't win the open mic. Not that most open mics are competitions. This one just happened to be. Sure. Mm-hmm. I didn't win the first time, but I remember walking out. I got second place that day. Shout out to Tyler Berry, R&B artist here in the Twin Cities, who won that night. Because he like brought out flowers. He was like, dude, he had pageantry. And I remember because when he did that, and he's an R&B singer, so he wasn't even rapping. He was just singing. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, so we can just kind of do whatever we want. Yeah. Like, oh, it's more of like, because I thought I was like, I just bars. That's all I had to do. Yeah. But then when I realized, I was like, oh, I can just kind of do whatever. Yeah. I can kind of be myself. So then I came back the next season and I just was weird, completely weird out of nowhere. I wasn't a part of the Minnesota hip hop scene. Yeah. And I just started winning. They eventually told me I had to retire because I couldn't keep winning. I won like 4 in a row. Then I went on to do stuff like Soundset and bigger events. And now Nur-D is like my full-time job. This is what I do. It's the best.
Sounds great, man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Your projects, like your the energy you have in your songs, the production's super fucking fun and cool, dude.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but we were listening to a bunch before you got here, and I was just like, it was all very, very, very good music.
Well,
man.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm glad I get to have a job where I get to do the things I like to do. And create and be fun.
Right. It shows throughout all of your work. Like you can see the passion and the artistry behind everything too.
I'm so glad I paid you to say nice things before.
He started this. He only gave us 20, but he's been slipping them under the table.
It's a Venmo thing under the table. You haven't seen me. I just keep tipping him.
You see him with his phone in his hand. You know what he's doing.
That's what it is. Oh man.
So how did the pandemic affect all of that stuff that you were doing then?
It's a great time. It was a great time to get into live music in 2018, I can tell you. Funny story. So I was working at a call center.
I'm so sorry.
I was working at a call center. Now, granted, like it paid the bills. There's nothing wrong with getting a job when you need a job. Like that's always the smartest thing I tell artists. Like, hey, get a job if you need a job. You can always leave it, but you need the money. You know, don't dream your way onto the street. Like, just get a job. If you need a job. Get a job if you need a job. But I was at this job, and 2019 is like, popping. Things are popping. I get picked to click Best New Artist on City Pages, RIP City Pages. It doesn't exist anymore. But I get the number one new artist of the year 2020.
Cool.
I get to headline Best New Bands at First Avenue. I have all this stuff set up. My calendar for 2020 is full in 2019. Like, people are booking me. I'm going all around the world. I'm just getting off of tour with Brother Ali in 2019.
Wow.
And I'm just like, oh, sweet. I remember this. I'll never forget this date because it was just a day. November 19th, 2019. I quit my job because I'm like, I am good. I'm like, and I'm not saying that I walked out like with my middle fingers up to all these people, but I definitely just was like, I need none of this bridge. Let's burn it all down, and you can get some. And I'm pretty sure. I don't even know if I should say it. I'm so far removed from there now. I'm pretty sure like I farted on my manager's phone. Like, I'm pretty sure like I was that guy. Like, I left and I was like, everybody's getting something. And I was like, I'm going to do live music all of 2020. It's gonna be great. Everyone's gonna be in the same room, breathing on each other, like in tight, packed capacity. It's gonna be great. And then I remember I get an email, and I'm hearing in the background of my revelry and my "You're the best new artist" fog that everyone's like giving me at the time, that I hear this thing that's happening over there, like across the pond. I'm like, oh, that I was very American about it. I was like, oh, that sucks. Man, other countries really do have some troubles, don't they?
They got to figure that out.
No. We'll never do that, right? Like, I don't know why I thought that. And I get an email from the Loons, or our soccer team for the United, and they're like, hey, because I was supposed to do the opening ceremony for the season, and I was kicking off all my 2020 stuff, and they were like, hey, so soccer's canceled for the year. Like, there is no soccer, so we're not doing the thing, because of the pandemic. And I realized, oh no, if they cancel soccer, it's real. Because soccer people are in it. You know what I mean? You see videos like soccer it's the biggest sport in the world. You know what I mean? And so they're canceling soccer worldwide. Oh, it's done. Like, something's happened. We're cooked. And then that weekend, I lost every single show that I had planned that year.
Dang.
In 1 weekend's time.
Oh,
In Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my whole calendar gone. I had quit my job. I had quit my job. And dramatically. And so
at least you'd have to go back during the pandemic.
Yeah, I remember sitting on the edge of my bed. And actually, you know what? Why am I fronting? I didn't sit on the edge of the bed. I didn't have like a bed frame. I sat on my mattress. And I wondered, okay. I wonder what me and my two roommates are gonna do. But you know what I did do? I reached out to my DJ Hayes. Shout out DJ Hayes. And because I'm like, because he quit his job because we're about to go.
Yeah.
We're gonna be everywhere. And I was like, hey, dude, I don't know what we're gonna do, but I do know that I was just named Best New Artist 2019. And if I have all these eyes on me, and so if I get the positives that come with that, like if I get the accolades and people giving me stuff and people saying nice stuff about me, then I feel like I have a responsibility to step up and help music community during that time. So we figured out how to do Zoom shows instantaneously. He came over, this is how we get the audio exactly how it is. We were one of the first people in the Twin Cities to really start doing online shows. And we started raising money for local artists. That was Minnesota Artist Relief. And we raised a couple grand, a couple thousands. And this wasn't like the state apply, wait 6 months and maybe get some money kind of thing. We just said, here's the Venmo. If you're an artist and you need money, I'm not going to ask what the money's for.
Yeah.
So if you need it, you just say it. And if we have it, we'll just give it to you. Wow. If I saw that you made a project and in this 2020, we'll just give you money. Just because we want people to keep creating. Wow. And we threw a couple concerts. Throughout that time period, we worked with the Kennedy Center and Paisley Park. We were the only concert to happen with Paisley Park in 2020 because we were the only ones who had gotten this. We jumped in it really, really quick. Like by the end of 2020, everyone's doing these live stream shows and they're being elaborate, but we were like right on. So the pandemic, it affected things, but I was able to stay afloat. I did get a job. I went and got a job. I worked at Lovesac at the mall.
What is that?
Well, Lovesac. Oh, they're luxury seating. They're basically just like fancy. They're fancy, not bean bags because they're very serious about that. They're not. It is a proprietary blend foam inside of their little big sacks. That's why they're called Lovesac.
All right.
Remember those big green balls that were upstairs?
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think we used to have them here.
Yeah. You know what? I will say this. Fine product.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I have a lot of things I can say about the place, but I can't say there was bad stuff. Like it was fine product. But I worked there for a little bit until shows started picking back up slowly but surely. Still mostly online, and then we're back to full-time music artist creator stuff.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, fun stuff. I don't recommend it, but it was a lot of fun.
So when you quit your job, was that you being like, I finally met a point where this is what I want to do, and you had like we're making a good income on and had shows coming in and everything
the plan so funny about quitting my job. I had gotten offered a tour with another artist that didn't end up working out. Eventually, I should start telling this story because it was not very good. But I was offered this tour. It was going to last a really long time. I went to my job and I said, hey, because they knew I'm a musician. Yeah. The City Pages magazine with my face on the cover was in the lobby. So I'm sitting here going to work. And people think that musicians like suddenly, like if you know them, they're just like suddenly out here like that. It wasn't. My magazine, I was working at the same place as the lobby. So they knew I was a musician, and some people had come to the shows and like, wow, that was so great. I don't know, things that we see each other at work. I asked, I'm like, hey, I got offered a tour. I'm gonna be gone for like 2 months. Like I'm gonna be gone for 2 months. I have a month's worth of PTO. Can I just be on hiatus for a month and then come back? You know, you don't have to pay me. Like I don't get paid. Just let me have a job and I come back. And they said no. And I remember being like, okay, you know. And so I went home and talked to my partner, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I can take the tour. You know, we gotta pay for this. I can't. Yeah. I can't. It's a cool idea, but I can't do it. And she was like, this is your dream. This is your thing. You have the money coming up. Because I did. Like I had the money coming in. It was just extra money, you know what I mean, from the job. And I was like, I could pay my bills and pay my rent and pay all the things I need to do just off the music. But it was there was the security in working a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? That you knew, hey, every 2 weeks I'm getting this paycheck and I got health insurance and I got all
yeah.
And so, but she was like, nah, this is your dream, and you've sacrificed and fought and did all this stuff to get here. You should go. And so that's what made me quit my job. It was all there. I would never suggest someone 100% quit their job until you know that you can. So people feel like they're in a race to do that. And I get that feeling like, I can't wait to do. But the stress of knowing that your whole livelihood depends on whether or not your next concert sells a certain amount of tickets is something that you should really only take on when you know that it can be done once. You know what I mean? If you haven't done it, if you haven't gone a whole 6 months being able to pay all of your bills just off of your music, that's a really huge risk to take, because all it takes is one little thing. Global pandemic's not a little thing, but all it takes is a thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, because like, let's say you get sick and you miss a show, and all of a sudden you can't pay your phone or your internet or whatever. So it's like, but I had the capital there, and so I made the decision because I wanted to go on this tour.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, then I was like, well, then this is my 2 weeks. I came back. I said, all right, you guys want to let me go? That's fine. This is my 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the movies.
What-
And yeah, and then that was a great idea, and it worked out well for me.
What a supportive partner.
Yeah,
that's
for real,
awesome.
for real, that's why it's important to have team,
Mhm.
like real people that are around you who believe in what you do, not just hype you up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not just hype you up. We got a lot of hype people who are there when you're doing well. It's very different to have someone who is willing to take the risk for you, and they're living there too. So it's like if I don't do well, we all don't have a place to live. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
not bringing in money, like this
Yeah.
place falls apart. So it was a risk on both of our ends, but the belief was there. There was proof because there was money on the calendar. So it was just like,
Yeah. Go get it.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Speaking of team, you play with a lot of people on stage.
I do.
Like you have a big crew.
We have a big crew. Yeah, the Friendly Neighborhood Spider Band. They're cool people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you go about finding all of these cool musicians?
Honestly, a lot of it. I can't get rid of them. I don't even know where some of these jokers came from. No, kind of all over the place. Life.
Yeah.
We live in a very musical community,
Right.
Yeah.
a very musical town. So you really can't throw a rock downtown without hitting somebody who does something. You know.
Yeah.
But
True.
school, like just school, and not like music school. Just my friends from school, my brother.
Sure. Okay.
Friends from college, friends from the church I used to go to.
Cool.
Just like
How many people are in the whole band?
total right now, we have 9 members. When our full complement, we have 12, which is 13 including myself.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. But one of the things is that I really like. I was a theater kid growing up. I like pageantry. Don't shake your head so
Yeah.
agreeingly.
We feel you.
You do? I thought
Yeah,
you were like, yeah, of course you were.
No,
Oh, shoot. No, she's
theater
like-
kid recognizes theater kid.
Yeah,
Fine.
game recognized game. Okay, zip zap zopping all over here. Okay,
We know. No, I'm just kidding.
we're doing too much. All right, no, but I kind of met them through all of these things, and they're the coolest. They're the
Cool.
coolest people.
That's
And you grew
awesome.
up in the Twin Cities.
Not in the Twin Cities. I grew up in the suburbs.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yes. Shout out to Rosemont, Minnesota. I like to tell this because it's a fun fact. We had 4 liquor stores before we had a public library. So if you want to know the vibe,
right.
in the Rosemont that I grew up in, that's what
Okay.
it is. Now
Okay.
they got everything. These
Sure.
kids don't know what it's like. Back in the day, we had a video update.
I love video update.
Yeah, shout out. I don't even think they have anymore.
There's
Those
no
are
more
the-
video updates.
But we had a video update, and then when we got a Blockbuster, we became really bougie.
Yeah.
We had 2 video stores.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So Rosemont was a very interesting place to grow up. It was a very homogenous community. I mean, we were the Fighting Irish. That was our school's like mascot. Was just the people group of Irish. And
The Fighting
so-
Irish.
Yeah, the Fighting Irish.
Oh,
Yeah.
You can't have the Native
Very
Americans
interesting.
or any
Just Irish.
Irish
And-
is all right though.
and shout out to Rosemont High School, the fighting. I was on the football team. I was a Fighting Irish. But yeah, like it was a very homogenous community, and you kind of grow up trying to figure out exactly what the vibe was. And we didn't have a whole lot of money, and so we didn't have a lot of transportation costs. Like when before I was able to drive, there wasn't like, oh, let's go down to the Twin Cities and hang out.
Mhm.
Let's go downtown and see XYZ. I didn't really have that option. So I spent the majority of the time in Rosemont, Minnesota with my friends around that area.
Mhm.
As I started getting more, ability to move around and go, then I got to go to places and be in the city and spend time there. But it wasn't until college before I moved to the Twin Cities where I was just on Elliott Park. And I was there for a while. Then I moved to St. Paul. And I was there for a while, and now I am back in the burbs because they're like a hole that will take you if you're not careful.
They're so
but-
comfy.
Yeah, it's man.
Yeah.
There it is.
I love Northeast. That's pretty in the middle between the two.
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah,
You mind if we pivot a little bit and talk about creativity?
we can pivot to anywhere.
All
I got
right.
this.
Cool. I'm curious about like your process behind creating the music, writing the music. things that come before the big performance.
Yeah. But that's most of the work.
Yeah.
Is like crafting and narrative. And it's funny because I've been in the middle of making a new album just now. So it's like I'm fresh in the process. Creating for me is I like a theme. I'm big on a theme. I mean, singles are great, and I do have a lot of them.
Mhm.
And so sometimes passion just strikes. You hear a chord progression, and you're like, there it is. Like, I got it. And it comes out of you. Do. Sometimes you have a line that you're like, this is a really good line. How do I vibe it? But for me, most often, it's a theme.
Okay.
So like a general concept of something, and then finding my way to craft narratives through that thing. I like to tell stories through about my perspective of other people I know, and try to craft narratives based around the theme. So if for example, I had a record called Heaven. HVN called Heaven. And so the whole record, I tried to find a way to kind of weave in my, evangelical-ish upbringing into the feelings I was feeling now, which including like, social justice and deconstruction and change and all of that stuff. And then I could find it as I was writing. I was making this like, oh, how do I do that? Running lines, things that you hear over and over again. So that's kind of like the process it is elaborate, but it works when you have a template.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I want to write about, or this is the theme that I want to write to, and then things can just kind of fall into place.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Having like a goal or like a something to grab deep inspiration from as you're creating.
Yeah. Like, and everything is like there's a lot of genres within a genre, right? So if you look at comic books, right, you have a lot of different types of comic books that might all interact with each other. Like Blade and Spider-Man are both in New York, but they're dealing with very different things. You know what I mean? Then every now and then they team up and they get to do a little bit together, right?
Sure.
And so sometimes you're like, all right, my name's Nur-D. I do a lot of nerd stuff. That's kind of my vibe. Like, I have a lot of that stuff on there, but I also just have general feelings about other things. Are there things that Venn diagram meet that I can write about? So I have a song called Gwen Stacy. It's about dealing with loss and love after loss. Like, if you've ever had a partner and they've passed, like, and then you have a new partner, those feelings that come with that, because it's like, it's not negative. I'm not, not happy, but, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this really sad thing that happened.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man specifically has that very same situation with Gwen Stacy, who happened to die, and then he meets Mary Jane, and he's very much in love with Mary Jane, but Gwen Stacy, was a thing. So writing a song about that allows me to do both things. It allows me to connect with the sort of nerd comic booky side of myself, but then also talk about the side of myself that deals with love and loss. So like, that's kind of my creative process. I try to find the Venn diagram of my various nonsense and then write to that.
That's really cool.
Very inspiring.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. What about like the process behind like all of your music videos that you do and stuff like that? Because there's a lot of content.
Yeah.
Nerdy content.
No, it's funny. Music videos are kind of my biggest struggle, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
I think it's just self-esteem issues. We live in a world that has a particular kind of body image. And so, and specifically speaking, for male identifying artists, there isn't a lot of content that tells guys that look like me that it's okay to be on camera and not being a brunt of a joke.
Sure.
And so I always felt really weird because, like, I look at my peers or using the hip hop and R&B community, it's very shirt off in the rain.
Yeah.
That's the era I grew up in. So that's what I always assumed that people needed to see.
Yeah.
And I felt weird about doing that because I was like, I'm not shirt in the rain guy. Like, I just like, flowing white dress shirt on a mountaintop. Like, it's just not. It's maybe one day it'll be me, but it's not me right now.
I think it's you right now.
It may, maybe it is me right now.
It is you right
and maybe
now.
I do get on my own mountaintop and let my dress shirt hang.
I assume that was a picture already happening.
I don't know. But so music videos are always really tough for me. But what I've been finding is the more I get to just involve myself in the creative process and just make it more interesting for myself, the easier it is. So, and I work with really great directors. That's the other thing. You don't have to be good at everything. There's a myth that you kind of have to be good at everything. A lot of the things that I have on my videos and stuff, I went to people and say, what is an interesting thing that you think would come out of it? I have an idea. This is what I want to do. What can we do to make that realistic? And then working with people like Trent, who is amazing, director Trent, who's amazing, who did Black Kid, White Town, which is one of my bigger videos. We just got into it, and he's like super into cinematography and stuff. He's like, we're gonna do this shot they did in Jaws, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
And we spent 30 minutes just zooming in on a camera on my face, and so music video creation and stuff like that. It's honestly, you can't do it wrong. That's the thing that I've learned recently, is that you can't do it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you do it authentically, you can't really do it wrong. So nowadays, you look at Tyler, the Creator, some of the videos he's made is literally just him in a particular spot and some B-roll of him at other spots.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like that,
Right.
people you don't need to worry so much about it as long as you like it and the song that you made. So I've been trying to get in front of the camera more just because apparently people want to see your face.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah, no, it's cool looking through like your YouTube. And there's a lot of content too, like around the Minnesota Orchestra performance that you did, like so much content. And I was watching one earlier that was like shot. It reminded me of The Office.
That was the idea.
Choreography.
Yeah.
That was so good.
We had Alex. I gotta shout out Alex, social media manager for the Minnesota Orchestra.
Cool.
She's fantastic. And when we sat down to work with the Minnesota Orchestra last year, I was like, okay, here's the thing. I'm weird. We're going to have to... I want people to know that it's still going to be what I do.
Yeah.
Because you guys, you're the Minnesota Orchestra. You have an air of professionalism. There's this kind of this thought process that you guys are too cool to be silly, or too fancy or whatever, to be silly. And I feel like we can dissuade them of that notion by showing you guys in vignettes and doing stuff like that. And as much as it's funny because I never actually watched The Office. Surprise!
Whoa.
I've never watched it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wasn't. It wasn't my culture to enjoy. So I wasn't watching The Office. But I liked the format of how they would tell a story. Like I thought it was funny that it was like a found footage comedy.
It was one of the first. It literally was like one of the first movies or shows to ever do that and broke into what that is
in a
now.
comedy. Like it's like,
Yeah.
like we are watching a show. Like they're letting you know that it is TV. It's been TV this whole time.
Yeah.
And if it feels fake, it's because it is.
Yeah.
But it's also because of the show. So I liked the concept, and I was like, I could do that. I can get that comedy down.
Yeah.
And so I said, if you guys are willing to work with me, we can do that. And they jumped in wholeheartedly. And then we had really good engagement off of those things because it was honest, it was silly, it was different. And I was just like, you got to not be afraid to just be weird. And it was just chef's kiss, exactly what we wanted, which the energy was that nobody knew what was going on, which is fair because I didn't write that show until like the night before. Surprise!
We're good at procrastinating.
No, it was definitely a very much I wanted to keep the spirit of chaos and fun in chaos alive throughout the whole production, and which was really, really, really came across in the marketing of that.
Yeah.
How are you able to did they come to you to?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. So the Minnesota Orchestra approached you to do a project?
Yeah, which was insane.
Really cool.
So too.
I got an email in my inbox. It was just like, oh, it's Minnesota Orchestra. Do you want to do a show with us? That's not how they sound. I don't know why.
That's how you read
sound
the
like Kermit. I would work with the Muppets today if the Muppets called, but like no. They were like, hey, Dessa had done like 2 shows with them.
Yeah.
And apparently they were looking to expand their like local artists collaborations.
That's awesome.
And so they had asked Dessa, who is an artist that you might like work with. And she apparently put my name out as one of the people. So they reached out to me, and I was like, first I didn't think it was real. And I was like, this is a scam. But then I was like, oh, this is real. It's their email address.
Don't click on that link.
By the Minnesota
Yeah,
Orchestra.
exactly. Don't click on any links.
Can you send us $500, please, to play at the Minnesota Orchestra?
And so they reached out. I said, yeah, we had a meeting about it. And I was just like, hey, here's what I'm about. Here are my values. This is the kind of show I put on. If this is something that you guys are wanting to do, because I'm not, it's funny how benign I feel, but I also realize that I'm a pretty controversial figure. So around certain parts of our music community. And so I'm just like, hey, I don't rock with the Minneapolis Police Department or the city very heavily. I know that you guys are a public institution.
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel like you have to make a stand on something that you're not ready to make a stand on with, and working with me might do that. Are you sure that's something you guys want to do? And they were, because I'm very much in the activist community. I'm out here on these streets. Like, I was arrested in 2020 for protesting. Like, I am very much about this. Are you about this? Because that's what some of my music's about. You know what I mean? And they were like, yeah, we're 100% down. Like, and I was like, oh, sweet. Okay. Well, if you guys are cool, then we'll make it happen. And we did. And
that's so cool.
It was wild. Like, I promise you, there has never been a show like that show. The 2 shows we did with the Minnesota Orchestra. I doubt there will be again. We had people twerking in the orchestra hall, just like in the seats.
Wow.
Like just going not. We had inflatable balls rolling around everywhere. We had the 3rd precinct burning on a big projector screen. like there was nothing that you could. I really think it was lightning in a bottle. Of those 2 nights that we just. DJ Hayes is the first ever DJ to ever spin with the Minnesota Orchestra.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, since their inception in 1903. He's the first ever person to ever do it.
Ever do scratching off fresh on the Minnesota Orchestra.
Yeah, like just wow. So we made history.
That's so cool.
Like we made actual music history.
So dope.
Those 2 nights. And it was incredible. So yeah, the marketing sort of led to this feeling of what is going on here, and then it ended with us having a really cool 2-night stint.
Yeah.
How long was each set?
I mean, how long was this? We had, I want to say it was like a 2-hour show, 45-minute show.
Wow.
Wow.
That's so fun.
It was a blast.
Was it the same show both nights? Cool.
It was because I was a theater kid. I structured it like a Christmas Carol. I did past, present, and future. So I did some of my old songs that I don't normally do, and I did some of the ones I had released like the last year. Because they asked me in 2023, and it took a year for us to get the show figured out.
Right.
And we did it in 2024. So like, all the things I had put out in 2023 was like the present, and then we talked about the future. I did songs that were either about the future or songs that I had written like recently for like to get up to snuff to ready to go. And I had my friend come. We had like the ghost of performance past, and it was Abraham Lincoln. And he came out and he was talking about the theater and how much he loves the theater. And so we did that. He also taught you. It's my friend Tober, who's part of the theater community here in Minneapolis. Mike Tober. He came out. He was Abraham Lincoln, and then present. I just went out into the audience and had them read the script. And I was just like, you read the script and it says what they were going to say. So they did it. But then when we got to the future, we flipped the script and we talked about mental health. And I talked about my dealings with suicidal ideation and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, the future is not always promised. If I hadn't talked to people, got the meds I was supposed to get, like there might not be this section of the show. And having that conversation, which I think really when you have fun and silly and whatever at the front end, you're able to talk to people about the real stuff on the back end, which is an advice that I give to a lot of new artists. Really, I say you have to make them like you before they'll trust you. So if your heart is to talk about some real issues that are really doing stuff, and you've never made art before, start with getting to know who you are, why they should listen to you, why they should like you as a person. And then once they do, you can be like, hey, if you like me and you like what I'm about, here's this issue that I feel like very strongly about. And they'll be like, oh, wow, I like you. Let me check this out because clearly it's important to you. And then
Wow.
you're in. So that was the show was about mental health and about the progression of artistry in mental health, but I was able to do the Abraham Lincoln bits and like the funny jokes and stuff like that, and Dungeons and Dragons and throwing dice around and all that stuff to you get into the more serious topics, which it landed. And then our little quartet that we did with the Current. We did for promotion for the show.
That was so cool too.
We did a little 4-person string quartet with my song 20 Cha, which is about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And DJ Hayes and at the Current, and that was nominated for an Emmy.
Oh wow!
Short form content.
The actual video?
Yeah, the actual video.
Oh,
and
cool.
And I was just like, oh, damn. And we didn't even know.
So we got Emmy nominated the Nur-D in the building.
We didn't even know. We got told at a show. Stand at your merch table. Stand at your merch table. If I could give one bit of advice to people, stand at your merch table. Until you're getting so bogged down by people that you just can't and it becomes like a problem for the area. Stand at your merch table. You'll be surprised at things you learn and get and receive just by being around so that people can find you and talk to you. Because we didn't know we were nominated.
So a fan told you?
Yeah. So when it came up, because they had also had a video. And they just happened to be at the show. And so we were just like, oh my gosh, it was so cool to be like on the same list as you guys, like for the Emmy stuff. And this guy comes up to me, he's talking to me, and I'm standing at the church with him, smiling at him. And, we live in Minnesota. And I was just like, this dude thinks I'm a different black guy. And I'm just gonna stand here and wait till he's done. Because I don't want to be rude. And he seems so excited. And I'm like, if I was nominated for an Emmy, I feel like I'd know. But I was just like, I sure did. Oh, yeah, I'm glad. And he walks away, and I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? Reset. And then my DJ's like, yo, dude, I just Googled it, just cause. Because he was so confident. Yeah. And so I Googled it. Like, nah, look, we're on here. And I was like, holy shit, like we did. Like, oh my God. So we were just freaking out. Whoa. We didn't know. We hadn't told anybody. And so, it was a Midwest Emmy, and it was really cool. And I know we get to change our bios now. Emmy nominated. So and so, I get to be real fancy with it. But yeah, so that orchestra show just really, we nailed the product that we were hoping to sell for that show.
And it took a year to plan.
Yep, they let us know. I got offered in 2023, accepted, and then I spent a year crafting the show, working with a arranger, because they took all of my music and transposed it and rearranged it for an orchestra, a full symphonic orchestra. So that took a little bit of time. And then we worked with 2911, which is a South African choir for one of the songs, a couple of songs. We had them as a part of it, so then we worked that through. So there's a little bit of getting people in and out and da. Right. So and then Minnesota Valley Men's Chorale, which is a all men's choir from the suburbs, because I wanted to bring a little bit of where I grew up into this place. So I brought them all there. And so like my friends' dads are a part of it. You know what I mean?
That's so cool.
It was just very much like a homecoming.
Yeah.
Like homeboy did good kind of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was just it was beautiful. It was a very, very beautiful 2 nights.
How do you come off of that high?
Honestly, I'm still sort of riding. I think because the Emmy nomination came so far after we were done that I was just like, oh wow, we can't stop winning with this show. I was like, I remember after getting on, because we did Friday and Saturday. And I remember it very clearly because Saturday was the first night of WrestleMania. I'm a big professional wrestling fan. And so like I couldn't be on my phone the whole night because I didn't want to see any spoilers. Yeah. So I was very in the moment because I didn't have any other distractions. But Friday night I remember we walked off stage at the last song, pow, we walk off and stadium, everyone like cheering, standing ovation. I remember walking off stage and looking at Ryan, my DJ, and he looks at me. He's like, "Yo, I think we just did that. Like, we just, even if tomorrow goes horribly, like we nailed it."
Yeah.
And people were in the lobby buying tickets for the tomorrow show on Friday. They were like,
So
give me more of that.
Damn.
It was like 1,700 people. It was just insane. 2 nights.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So much fun. So much beauty happened in those 2 nights. So yeah, I loved it. Very, very fun experience.
That's so cool.
That's
Thank
so
you for
cool.
sharing, because
Anytime. I'll talk about that. That was a really fun show.
So I was gonna ask, you had that show. I want to go back to now when you first did your first open mic and started rapping. Going back to that, and then how did you, like, when you first started performing hip hop? How were you, like, getting on stage? What kind of stages were you performing on? And in the first part of your nerdy career, because like I was trying to come up in the local hip hop scene with my buddy Dave Velk. Yeah, and I was his producer, and we had no idea what we were friggin' doing, and no idea. And so I was wondering, like, how you found your name in the local scene, because it's like it's hard. Your rap is not like maybe the a kind of mainstream to our scene. Ours wasn't either.
It's very different. Like,
it took a minute to find a spot.
And I think you have to know your goal. Is one of the big things I say to people. I say any music has an audience. All music has an audience. If you like it, if you like what you're making, then if you times that by the entirety of the population of the planet, you'll probably have millions of people who like it. It's just that, do those people have access to you? Do those people have access to the music devices that could play your music? And do you have a way to communicate that you have that product to them? So don't make a music because you think people won't like it, or go do something people don't like it. But depending on your type of music, it might be harder to do it in certain places. So when I started out doing hip hop here in the Twin Cities, I was very lucky because we had a lot of infrastructure that we don't have currently. Like the Showed Up and Rap, Go 95.3 was a major radio station. So every Thursday, come down. I could perform in front of people in the industry. You know, I'm winning a lot, so I'm getting talked about a lot. And then Soundset. So I went from doing pallets, or performing on pallets, at Modest Brewing, like just little wooden pallets with a little PA system. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
you know what I'm talking about?
The spot you're talking about.
I was there and doing that. I think I performed at the Red Sea. Like that's a local venue that you could use. I remember it was very much like coffee shops, like record store, back room, like that kind of thing when you first start. I know it doesn't exist anymore. And again, a lot of things I'm going to say is like, this place doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. But it was called Part Wolf, and then it became the Nomad, or it was called the Nomad and became Part Wolf. I forget what it was. But there was a little venue, a little dive bar-y venue that you would come and you could do hip hop at. I remember, because my back and forth was so weird. I did, she do Shut Up and Rap at Pallets, right? Then they're like, call me up at my job and say, hey, do you want to perform at Soundset? I said, yes, of course I want to perform at Soundset. Go to Soundset, perform in front of tens of thousands of people. Go to Part Wolf, play in front of 0 people. Like, and a thing that I think that, again, there is a conception, and it's because social media requires this misconception to be had, that once you get a big crowd of people, that every show is going to be big crowds of people. Like, I do this full time. I pay my bills, and not to brag, but I got a 3-bedroom apartment, a car, PS5, fucking nice. Like, I got all the things that I need.
Hell yeah.
And things that I don't. And like my average show sometimes might be like 60 to 100 people. No. Like, that's just if you just do this all the time, it's not always gonna be the 10,000. Think of how many times you buy tickets to go in a room where there are already another 5,000 people. Yeah. It's not, you don't do that all the time. Right. So like, it's just, that's not really realistic. So a lot of, when I first started out, a lot of the shows I had were just like maybe 20 people, 10, 20 people in a room, or I'm on a bill and a bunch of artists. We pool our 10, 20 fans together and we build a show that way. And it was a lot of it. And it can be really discouraging if you didn't spend years failing at rock and roll.
True.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, yo, I've already played to 0 people for cold pizza and a drive home. Like I'm
this is not new.
This is not new.
This is just hip hop.
If somebody gives me a drink ticket, I am up than I was when I had to pay for my drinks doing rock and roll.
Yeah.
So like I win just by being here. And so by having that mentality, it helped kind of, I guess say rose tint glasses, some of the more dingier, less than desirable shows that I did perform at. But every show, I always say, the room is always full.
Yep.
The room is always full, regardless if there's 10 people, 20 people. There's a picture I keep on my phone and I post regularly on my Instagram. And it was a show that I was doing. It was post sound set. So here I am. And remember, I'm not, and not to sound arrogant, but I'm not just like some dude. At this point in my career, I'm number one artist in 2019. I'm doing all this blah, blah, blah. So like, I'm not just like a guy. And I'm standing on stage. I'm 3 songs into a 6-song set. And you know that you're at the certain level when it's about how many songs you do and not how much time you have. They want 6 songs on your 6 songs, you're out. If your songs are a minute long, then you have 6 minutes and you're out of here. So I'm 3 songs into a 6-song set and there is nobody there. It's me. It's the bartender, the sound person, and 2 people in the farthest back having a full-on conversation.
Trying to talk over.
Yeah, like a full-on conversation. I'm 3 songs in. I take out my phone. No one cares that I've taken out my phone. And I'm just taking a picture of nobody.
Yeah.
And I keep that picture on my phone and remind myself, like, this is what makes a good artist or not.
Mm-hmm.
Is if you can finish your 3 songs. Because I already, it was like, I got $20 for being there. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, I already got paid.
Yeah.
I could leave. I don't think anyone would care.
Yeah.
I could leave right now.
Yeah.
No one would care. It would not ruin the night. You know what I mean? But I was like, I have 3 more songs and I'm going to do them because they're mine.
Yeah.
And this is my time and the room is always full. Because if I sing the song and those 2 people just happen to catch it and they like it and they go home and they tell their friend and then that friend comes out and sees the show and they bring 70 people next time because they're just like it like that, I'm set. And so when you have that mentality of the room is always full, you just tend to get more opportunities because people see, like, I was sweating.
Yeah.
Like, I was going, I was jumping. I did like as if the room had 1 million people in it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what are you doing? This is you get paid to do a service, you do the service. If you're paying me to come in, you're paying me to give you the best show I possibly can. I'm not going to phone it in for you. And I don't care if it's 2 people or 2,000 people. They're going to get the same show.
Right.
Because those 2 people in their eyes don't care that there's how many people they care to see you.
They can, because think about it. And I also, and not to get like super heavy or whatever, I used to be poor.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand, like, when you're poor, luxury stuff like a concert is a big deal. One of the reasons I loved working at my local movie theater was one of the few things that we got to do that was like a luxury thing that made me feel kind of like the rest of my upper middle class environment was going to movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I love the experience of going to the movies because it felt fancy. So here I am. I've been poor. I've eaten government cheese. I've eaten government peanut butter. I lived in my car. Like, I've done that. My first ever mixtape I made in the family bathroom at Target. Like, you know what I mean? Because the acoustics were better and I needed a place to record and I couldn't do it in like my car all the time. Like, I wanted to do it someplace where I could like get all my stuff plugged in. And like, so if someone pays $15 to come see me, I don't really care if you're the only person there. That could have been your $15. Like, it could have been like, you know what? I probably should save this, but you know what? I need something else today. And so I'm like, well, for you, I got this. For you, like, this is what you paid me for.
Yeah.
You've paid me to escape, so we're getting out of here.
Yeah.
For the however long you have me, that's how we do it. And with that mentality, people see it and they feel it. And then even if they're not the person to give you that next big check, they might know somebody who is.
Yeah.
And when they're
Yeah.
thinking about it, or later on when they do have the means to support you in a more financial way, they're like, I remember when I saw him in a room of 5 people and he was going ham.
Yeah.
And so now he's at the Target Center. I know I gotta see that.
Yeah.
Because it is easier to do all of that when there's more people.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're doing it more for more people. No, it's just that the energy is easier to give and receive.
Yeah.
So you ramp up exponentially. But if your mindset is that you're gonna ramp up either way, your shows just end up feeling better.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
That's how we out here.
I've definitely been like with my buddy Dave. We pulled up to the terminal bar and they didn't even have a sound guy.
Yep.
They had me do it. They're like, "Hey, do you know what I'm doing?" I walk up to the mixer. I'm like, "I think," and I turned up a couple faders. I'm like, "I got the sound out."
Sometimes you got to be your own sound engineer.
Literally, just pulled up to their venue start. So I feel it. You start with stuff like that, but then when we played literally to as many people as you said, and it goes from that to like just once you've done that, you can only go up from there.
Yeah, you can't lose. You can't lose if you don't stop. I think somebody said like you can't play the wrong note on bass. You can only end on the wrong note.
Yeah.
So if you just keep going until you find the note that's supposed to be,
Yeah.
you didn't play a wrong note. You just had a weird solo and you're good. Like you keep on going. And so that's kind of the energy. Like you can't have a bad show unless you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can do not as well as you'd like, but like I've had plenty of shows where I've like walked off being like, wow.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that for sure because I've been on tour. I've been on tour with an artist that was more established than me. And I've been on my own tour when I was the headlining artist and I had artists underneath me. And I remember one time we were in Washington, D.C. No, we were somewhere on that coast. And we had a show. And I think we maybe like sold 7 tickets to like this, I want to say 600 cap.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, this is the last day of the tour.
Yeah.
We had good shows before, but this is the last day of the tour. And I was just like, ugh. There's only 7 people here. I can kind of just like, I can just kind of phone it in.
Mm-hmm.
But then I said to myself, I'm sitting in the green room. I'm not even going to change. I'm just going to wear what I'm wearing and I'll do the show. And after a few minutes, I said, Matt, that's not the energy that you have. That's not how we do things. Like,
No.
you know that. Who knows what these 7 people, they came. You don't live in this state. And these people paid money to come and see you. So that means they either have been waiting for you to come here since 2018, or they just found you and they want to put money in your pocket. So I went back to the Airbnb, changed it to a full elaborate, like polka dot pink overalls and stuff. Came back around.
Yeah.
We had a great show. My fans, they gave me this blue shell, like this plushy blue shell from like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Because they know how much I like Mario Kart. They bought it for me. And people like, we drove 3 hours to get here because this was the closest place that you were coming on.
Wow.
So if I had phoned it in,
Dang.
that whole thing that they did, that whole drive that they made, that vacation that they took their family on, would have been less.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to always give it your all.
Wow.
I love that.
Thank
Oh my
you.
God.
Yeah, we out here.
I
got stories. I could talk for
Whoa.
literally 2 million years.
Well, that's great. I wish we had 2 million years to talk to you.
I know. I ramble. I yap.
No, it's been perfect.
It's been a great hour, but you know, we try to keep it to about an hour.
I'm here for it.
So we're probably going to land the plane soon unless you have like any other questions for Mr. Matt.
Not that I have. Do you have any questions for us? I'm just kidding.
Oh, yes. You know what? Let me think. Do I have any questions for you? That's a very good question. You know what? Here we go. Who do you think would win in a fight? The Justice League or the X-Men?
I don't know who's in the Justice League.
That's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash,
Justice League.
Aquaman, Martian Manhunter.
Justice League.
I don't have enough information to answer this question.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So don't come to Slam Academy for this. Like, if you want to know about who would win in a fist fight between fictional characters, this might not be the place for you. That's not what they focus on here.
Listen, I'm just starting to get into Star Wars now. And I'm 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm nerdy about like Sims and Minecraft. Like
That's
that
something to be
type of
nerdy
thing.
about. Yeah. Heck
know?
yeah.
like the Marvel universe and the DC universe.
So you gonna go see the Minecraft
Unfamiliar.
movie that's coming out?
Yes,
Then?
of course.
With Jack Black and Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Minecraft. I've played Minecraft once. I played it one time, and I gotta tell you, I remember being like, okay, because I see the videos, right? People build like working computers in that game.
Yeah.
With like, because all the elements will do whatever the elements do in real life. So if you like copper and electricity, it will conduct electricity. So they're like, I'm an engineer. Blah. And I'm like, okay. Rock. I built a little hole that everyone's building elaborate homes. I don't have the attention span to do Minecraft as much as everybody else does. But I do love me some Sims. We out for Sims.
Oh, so good. They should make a Sims movie.
What would that even? You wouldn't understand any of it.
That'd be just the movie.
It would just be people.
It would just be Sims.
You know what? It would be interesting if they did like a Sims movie where someone gets jumped into the Sims world and stuff's happening.
That'd be the way to go.
You know what? I feel like the Sims movie is just the Prince of Egypt. Just somebody doing weird stuff to people.
Yeah, there's some weird shit going on there for sure.
Making a pool and taking the ladder out. And just,
oh yes, my brother still is like, you're evil. Do you remember when you killed your Sims families? You're evil, and I'm
just
like,
drop them in the pool.
Yeah, or like room, no toilet, no door, and wait.
That's hilarious.
No, I don't know.
You can get like DLCs for Sims, so you can like be a drug dealer and shit.
Well, they have like ghosts. They have ghosts. There's Monster Sims DLCs.
You can be be a gambling. You be a gang lord.
I mean, I'm sure.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm sure there's a version of it.
No, there's
crime.
like a download one. You think I talked to one person.
Like a cheat or
you
something?
can look it up.
Oh man,
So
all right.
if you ever want to get that deep into Sims,
okay,
she's talking about that.
I just re-downloaded it on my computer like a couple months ago because it's free.
It is. One of the things I know about Sims is that if you have a friend who plays a lot of Sims, they've probably created you in their Sims universe, and don't ask about it. Don't ask about it. Don't worry about it. It's not for you. It's for them. And they just want to see you, and you might be married to somebody that you didn't expect because they just find it funny to see who you run into. That's all I know about Sims people. And she's laughing because I know she's got her friends in Sims, and she has not told them what they do.
No. I made a rule for myself that I'm no longer creating, like, if I have a boyfriend at the time, like, no, like that character does not exist in my Sims world because that is bad luck.
It gets to, yep.
It's like a voodoo doll.
Yeah, no, it's somehow you know it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And having complete and utter control over your partner is never healthy.
Yeah.
Even a virtual version of it gets a little creepy.
Yes.
We out here. Sims people, you die. Now the Sims community is coming after me. I know it. They're like, don't give our secrets away.
You grow as a human, okay?
So the last thing we like to ask our guests is what's some advice that you could give to the slam community and the people watching if they've got this far?
Gosh, if you've gotten this far, congratulations. You are one of the elite. Let me think. Some good advice. I try to give, it's a three-prong advice for young artists, new people, Slam Academy. As you're growing into this industry, 3 things you can always do every time and you'll be a lot more successful. Number 1, be on time.
Ooh.
Number 1, be on time.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, be nice. And number 3, be talented. And the last one is hard, but the other 2 are better. Being on time is important. It just helps everybody else out. You'd be surprised how often things are down to the wire when you get up. The more people are getting paid to do things around you, the more time starts mattering to people. So, like, do your best to be on time. It happens, but that's the best one. Be nice, meaning that regardless of your persona, regardless of what your character, your art is about, when you're done, when you're off stage, it's kindness. Shake hands, say hello, say thank you. Like, be cordial to people around you. Leave spaces nicer than you left them. Like, be the type of person that they want to have back in their space. And that, when I say be nice, I mean be nice to everybody, including the sound person. You'd be surprised how, like, even sound people can get a little, they get a little weird. But you can be kind and nice and speak to them. And if you are that sound person, be nice and kind and speak to people. And you're doing the engineer work, that's great. And then be talented, mean know what you're doing, know your stuff. If you're an artist, know your lyrics, know your words, know what you're supposed to do. If you're a producer, know your stuff, learn, be talented, when you show up on time and are nice and then you kill it, people will throw money at you to come back. Like if you're the first two things, you'll probably get hired even if you're not the third thing, to be honest. If you're the first two things, you'll probably get hired even if you're not crazy talented. And some people are born with more talent. Some people have to work to achieve it. But however it is, if you can nail all three, you just skyrocket because people want to be known as the person who brought in someone good. So like, even if they don't really care what you're doing, they want the people around them to think that they can go and find good people. So if you're on time, you're nice, and you're talented, they will be like, oh, I know a person who will nail this for you. Let me go get them for you. And then they'll hit you up. Hey, I got $800. Come over here and run this real quick. And then you show up and you nail it. So now you look good. They look good because they brought you in. And then everyone wins. So that's my advice to you. Take those three things, hold them. You're going to go far. You'll go crazy far, honestly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Hey, that's what we do. Oh. That's right. Now I have to play some Sims.
Let's go.
Gonna put all my band in there.
Put your band in a pool with no toilet.
Yeah, you never know what they do. That's mostly what I do anyway. How do you think we get so good?
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for listening to SlamCast. This was Nur-D. I'm Neil.
I'm Bria. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for watching SlamCast. Wasn't that a fun episode?
Want to become a member at Slam Academy? Go to slamacademy.com for more information.
Thanks for watching. Bye.